excited to introduce my next homeschool high school graduate. Her name is Linda Braus, and it is another homeschool graduate that I have seen growing from this high all the way up into adulthood. And I'm excited to introduce you to her. Hello, Linda, and welcome.
Thank you. It's really nice to talk to you after all this time. It has been a long time. So
it hasn't been a long time because you've been busy living life and growing up and being this wonderful woman, and you've done a lot over the last few years. So could you get us started and tell us a little bit about your homeschool journey and where that led to after graduation?
yeah, I was homeschooled all the way through. My parents just decided to do it, I think, because I had an October birthday, and it was like one of those things where I was like kind of ahead because I would have been like the oldest person in my class, and they were only going to do it when I was younger, and then it just that they never stopped. During middle school and high school, I was involved in like a homeschool co-op, which is how we met, obviously. That was really, really beneficial. Also in high school, I was lucky to be able to attend some community college courses for things like French was the biggest thing. I mean, I took that for 2 years because my parents, neither of which were qualified to teach me French or Spanish or anything like that. And it was really important to them and to me to be able to get some experience in learning a foreign language, because that was one of my interests and something I wanted to have going into college. For me, like I always knew like my plan after college was to go away to college, university, what have you. I ended up going for 4 years and getting my Bachelor of Arts in English and Communication at Carroll University in Waukesha, Wisconsin, so not far from where I grew up. That was a really good experience for me. It was a small school. I will say, coming from my homeschool experience and like my personality even, and just like who I am as a person, I think going to a small school was a great, really beneficial move for me. I think going from homeschool and small classes at the community college, small classes at the co-op, like I think it would have been really overwhelming for me to go to like a state school where I could have been in lecture halls with hundreds of people. And not everyone's like that. But for me, I think that would have been not so great. So I went to a small school that was just about, I think like 2,000 people undergrads, plus like a couple hundred more at the grad school. So that was really nice for me because I was in classes that were like 10 to 30 people generally. And there was a lot of opportunity for like small groups and like one-on-one attention from the professors and things like that. And there was just a lot of opportunities to take advantage of at the school, and like not as many people, trying to like necessarily like fight for those opportunities depending on what your interests were. And also I would say, there wasn't so much going on at the college that I couldn't even like keep track of what was going on. So yeah, small school was the move for me. While I was in college, I took an internship at a local magazine publisher. I always knew, well, not always, since I was in like probably high school or middle school, I knew I wanted to work in book publishing or publishing in general. So I worked on my college newspaper. I worked as an intern at this small press. It was called Lessner Media. I mean, it is called Lessner Media. It was like agricultural magazine publishing, and got some experience there doing editing. And then that sort of led me to what I do now. I ended up moving to New York, which was like kind of like a childhood dream that I wasn't sure if I would ever do. And I work at an academic publisher now called Palgrave Macmillan. It's like part of a big global publisher, actually. I'm an associate editor there. I started there a couple of years as an editorial assistant. That's where I am now.
So that's amazing that you've always had this love for writing. Even during high school, I remember like this was something that you set out to do, and you're actually doing that. You actually went to school and you're still doing that. And that's really wonderful, because sometimes what you might want to do in high school isn't necessarily what you want to do in, after life, after graduation in college. But it is kind of fun when it is this lifelong dream and you actually get to see it, prosper, and like, wow, I get to do what I set out to do, and that's so fun. So what do you feel that your homeschool experience, how did it help you achieve this life goal and moving forward with that life goal?
I really do. I think it was a big contributor to being able to do what I do now. For me personally, the experience of being homeschooled allowed me to focus on the interests I had and really pursue those things and just have a lot of flexibility in my schedule to spend a lot of time, like in my case, reading, lots and lots of reading, and some writing. Or even in high school, I had the time because I didn't have such a strict schedule and I had time to focus on what I wanted to do. I actually took the time to start like a book review blog back when I was in high school, or maybe I started in 8th grade. I don't even know. So I was spending a lot of time because of that, learning about publishing, learning some basic, like running my own blog or website thing. I started with some friends, started interacting with publishers and trying to learn more about that process. And maybe even I was lucky enough to see some books before they published, and give reviews for those. And that honestly, I think kind of cemented for me, and it's not this way for everyone, like this is what I wanted to do. And that didn't end up changing for me very much. I mean, like I'm in like the area I wanted to be, not doing exactly what I thought I would be doing, but it gave me so much flexibility to just really pursue my interests. And I think my parents really wanted that for me, and my mom was really supportive of that. And other than like having some classes outside of the home, which was really beneficial, like everything else was like very flexible. Like I was never like, I did do math and science, unfortunately for me. No, fortunately. I mean, obviously my mom was very responsible. She had to make sure I did those things, but I did not want to.
Right.
It's not my area, but yeah.
So did you contribute to the conversation of what you're going to be studying throughout the year? Like, did you guys have like a family meeting and you discussed, hey, I want to do this. I know by law, I need to do a math class.
Yeah, no, it was very much that. My mom was like, okay, I know you don't want to do algebra 2, but you have to do algebra 2. Like otherwise you're going to have to be doing like remedial math classes in college. And like, you're not going to enjoy that either. It was very much like kind of a pulling teeth situation. She's a math person too. So like, we did not see eye to eye. For me, like I was an only child, which is like a different experience than some people have. So it didn't have to be like a super formal, like family, like sit down. It wasn't like, my mom was trying to organize for like a bunch of kids, as the case may have been, but like her and I were kind of in constant conversation, I guess, of like, this is what you're actually interested in. I guess you could do more of this. Like, this is what you're actually good at too. Like, math and I still do not get along super well, but I can confidently say I didn't have to use long division after I learned it.
So, to be fair, do you feel that your homeschool experience was lacking in any area, that it gave you a disservice to any area of your life?
I don't really feel like that. I mean, going back to what I was saying earlier about being more comfortable at like a small college, part of that is my personality, but I do think part of that might have been like my homeschooling experience. And I don't think that's necessarily a disservice. It's just a different experience, right? Like, I don't really think like maybe if I'd gone to like a larger public or private school in my earlier years, I may have been more used to having less of that like one-on-one access should I need it, and more used to navigating sort of a much larger landscape and being used to being in a big classroom and just that sort of thing. So I wouldn't say it's necessarily a disadvantage. And I know many homeschooled students go on to like those larger universities and excel there if that's something they want to do. But I would say like in my case, like I think part of the reason I was more comfortable in a smaller environment was that. But that said, I mean, now it's still 2,000 people is more people than I was in homeschool with. And
True.
I work at a huge global company now with like 13,000 people across the globe or something like that. And that's, you just kind of find your niche.
So it sounds to me that because your parents allowed you in the process of discussing what you're going to learn, like you really knew who you were by the time that you graduated. You knew, like, how many colleges did you go and visit?
I went to like, I don't know, maybe 5 or something. It feels like so long ago now. I think I thought I had a pretty good idea. I think as much as like anyone does when they're like 16, 17, 18. Right. And I turned out to like be pretty right about what I was comfortable with. I was mostly looking at small schools. I also looked at like Northern Illinois University and whatnot. And a lot of the decision was like, what they're offering versus like distance from home,
Right.
versus finances obviously were like a huge thing.
Right.
But yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty
And I think
comfortable.
that's an important conversation, that you kind of knew what you were looking for in a school, because you mentioned Northern Illinois, which
Mhm.
has campuses is over streets, like
Yeah,
city
yeah, it's
blocks.
huge,
It's
huge.
huge, right? And to go there and immediately know that it's not your comfort zone really
Yeah,
shows that your parents helped you really understand who you were. It wasn't like you were afraid of it. You just
no,
knew that this makes me feel comfortable. This is that direction I want to go. And I think that's a wonderful
right.
position to be in by the time you graduate in high school. That's a wonderful position that your parents led you to by that point. So that's really
They
wonderful.
really did. And that's, like throughout the homeschooling experience, like that being able to like sort of like independently study things and figure things out and like make decisions for myself insofar as like I was able, because of course, I still had to get those requirements down to be able to attend college and to be able to do these things. But it really sort of instilled in me like the ability to figure out like what I wanted to do, how to get there, like independent study, like
Mhm.
just that kind of discipline, I guess, that was really applicable like in choosing a college and attending college and in work now. Like these are things that I think employers and colleges can really value in homeschool
Yeah.
students.
Yeah, because I think it's really important to know that you weren't afraid to go to the bigger school, because you
No.
grew up in Illinois and you live in New York. So it's not like you're afraid to take risk.
No, no, I wasn't afraid. And I think, if I had ended up going there, whether because it was money or because something appealed to me there, like I think I probably could have succeeded there. I don't think I necessarily would have like flunked out or anything like
Yeah.
that. I
Yeah.
just knew what I thought I would be able to take advantage of best
Yeah.
and what would like suit me as a person best. So like it was more like I think this is best for me, not that it's the only option for me.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful. I think that's really insightful. That's
Thanks.
really good. And so, like, what advice would you give to the homeschooling parents? Because you lived it, right? This is just, we're facilitating it as parents, right? But you actually lived this lifestyle. And what kind of advice would you give homeschool parents who are either thinking about homeschooling high school or are in the middle of it? What kind of advice would you give them?
I mean, I think my parents were just really encouraging for me to just kind of try whatever outside the home that I wanted to do. I'm not talking just about like classes, but like when it came to like pursuing my interests in different ways. So like for example, like with that book review blog, like that was like something I could do. And they just like really encouraged me to pursue that academic interest I had and personal hobby interest I had and like see some semblance of like what that could look like professionally sort of really early on, or like it could be like joining a local club or specific jobs you could take or things like that, just like encouraging your kids, as I'm sure people are doing already, like to pursue those external opportunities that can really supplement their interests in education and try things outside. I know sometimes that isn't as easy to do necessarily. Like, if you're at like a public school, like maybe you're seeing flyers everywhere for sports you can just join in like right after school. So sometimes it's like not as easy to find, but like those opportunities to apply your interests in various external outlets are like out there, whether it's especially these past couple of years, a lot of them are online and like at a distance, and things that can definitely be done even from your home or in your community or what have you. I mean, I guess that's a bit vague, but that's what I would advise. That was really beneficial to me in addition to like the homeschooling itself. Like,
Well, I think that's a real good reminder to, like, as the parents, we are responsible to make sure that the core fundamental learning happens. We're checking off our graduation requirements, but that we need, as the parents, we need to look for the opportunities if our children are interested in. And it might be a little bit of work. It might not come as easy. Like you said, the homeschooling community, where when you were a high schooler to where it is now, what's available, it's exploded, right? There's so
I'm
many
sure.
opportunities, right? And so I think that's really good advice, that even though there's all these opportunities, your child still might be interested in something that you still have to go out and look for an opportunity. And I think that's really good advice. And I do appreciate that. I appreciate that you're willing to come here and talk to the homeschool parents and giving us of your time. I really do appreciate it, Linda.
My pleasure. It was good to talk about it.
Because I always asked these questions when my kids were little. Like I always bypassed the parents and kind of went to the kids and because I think it's really important that you're hearing people who are actually having to live it. Right.
Sure. Yeah.
And it really helped me relax more as a homeschool parent to hear like, for instance, you knew exactly what you wanted to do. You were much like Rachel, boom, boom, bang. She did exactly what she wanted. And then I had Erin, who was more like Katie, who, oh, I think I want to do this. Oh, I want to do this, but I'm going to end up doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's all okay.
Totally. Yeah. And I mean, it's not even just in homeschooling. It's like, I obviously know people who took every educational route to end up where what I'm doing now. And, you know, they weren't all starting out wanting to do book publishing. Some of them wanted to be like healthcare professionals. Like, you know what I mean? It's like a huge change.
Yeah. I think for me, I want to encourage parents to trust the process a little bit more and to trust their children a little bit more, that they can make these decisions for themselves. And even if they have to change it up, that's okay. Like,
yeah, it's not like it's going to be too late. Like,
yeah.